Hey, folks. I'm Matt Masur from Growth Mode Content. Welcome to another edition of Good News York. I'm joined again by my smiley co-host in his spiky hair ready to go.
Yeah, it's finally getting back.
Mikey B's here.
Thanks, man. I'm glad to be here.
You have hair.
It's Thursday. I do have hair.
I'm in the club of always wearing the hat.
Starting to get the like I'm blessed because I know I have friends now.
Was it moving back? You got the
I'm getting. You know what? I didn't notice it until we started GNY and I started watching the clips. And I'm like, oh
yeah, my forehead's getting bigger.
Yeah, I was like, it's growing. Who needs a billboard when we have my forehead? But we're here.
Enough about your billboard head.
Yeah.
Let's. We got a great guest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joining us today. Jim Williams is with us, and this is a gentleman that honestly we're not super familiar with him. We saw a story in the paper, and we said this guy is doing some good things, and that's the ideal type of thing we want to bring in on Good News York.
It was one of the easiest bookings. I was like, Jim, we loved the article. We'd love to have you on. He said, let me check you out, which was very smart. Because, you know, everyone these days can say, I have a podcast. You don't want to get into, you never know what you're getting involved in.
Right.
He checked this out, and we passed the test, and he's here with us today.
That's it. You passed the marker.
I love it. Jim, how are you, man? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. You know, another rainy CNY day, but I'm doing very good. And thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We're glad to have you.
The umbrella business is really their stock is through the roof these days. It seems like it's incredible. Jim, let's give folks a little background. Tell us, kind of what you do, what's your day job, and then we'll get into what got you some attention here.
Sure. So I've lived in Syracuse for over 30 years. Came here and had a grad assistantship in music up at SU.
Wow.
Nice.
So that's primarily where my background initially was, but always interested in building. So took my music degree and turned it into building stuff. So I do primarily commercial construction.
Wow.
Have an interest in music, art, building, structure, and really love this area. So that's my day job. I work for an organization, Foundation Housing, and we do student housing, renovate buildings completely.
Wow.
We're going to look at doing some ground-up projects. We're primarily all over New York State, so Troy area, Albany area, Syracuse, Binghamton, Cornell, Ithaca. That's what my day job is.
Wow. You're keeping these kids in some nice, safer places. I'll tell you, they dramatic improvement from my college.
Oh my gosh!
You know, the dorms and in all these places now they have like a gorgeous apartment.
And we primarily do take older structures. We do some historic tax credit projects.
That's great,
and really convert them to something that's usable for them. So, I came from a retail commercial construction background, did a lot of projects over at Destiny USA.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Did the IMAX over there, bridge over Hiawatha.
Wow.
1 million square feet of structure, hallways, all sorts of stuff over there.
That's incredible.
I live in Ithaca, so it's especially over the last 10 years, the transformation of housing and dormitories, it's been just amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of modern, from what I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but from my point of view, it looks like a lot of modern architecture. It's really exciting.
Yeah, we try to do things that are stylized, that are going to, be interesting for people as well. It's not just, as you were saying, when I went to school in the 80s, when I was in college in the 80s, it was just, cinder blocks.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So... But again, enjoy this area, enjoy what I do, and decided I had worked in for-profit industry, not for profit. There's been a lot of talk about infill housing in the Syracuse area, and the article recently was really primarily about that.
And Jim, tell people just real quick, what do you mean when you say infill housing? What is that? What's that term?
So you're taking lots, either vacant lots or structures that have been torn down and created vacant lots.
I see.
And building residential homes on those lots.
I see.
Whether it's multiple parcels together or individual parcels. It's just coming up with an idea and a way to be able to use the existing real estate that we have. So I just... being involved with, again, for-profit and not-for-profit, I saw there was a need for kind of middle-income housing.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
My idea, I've got a lot of friends who are looking for houses now, some younger people, older people, and it's just not available.
Yeah.
There are plenty of excellent organizations, Home Headquarters, Jubilee Homes. They do great work and do a lot of new structures. But a lot of that is grant-based, and there's not a lot of houses available for people who are just looking for homes.
Yeah.
I live in Eastwood, love the city. Nothing better to me than jumping in my car and driving 5 or 10 minutes and getting to some great restaurants.
Yeah,
right.
Seeing some great shows downtown. Going to the art museums that we have. And I think people really kind of lose track of that in the city. There's a lot of talk about negative things that happen, but
Sure.
that happens everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're not an anomaly.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's one of the things that, we've tried to focus on here with Good News York is, the positive, because you turn on the regular news and that's all you hear is that negative stuff and you think it's horrible. And honestly, it's that way in every city. It doesn't even matter. The crime rate doesn't, good area, bad area.
Yeah.
They'll find that one story and that is the entire 6 o'clock news. And unfortunately, it becomes kind of the mindset. So folks that are really cheerleading for this area is something we're a big fan of. So
that's great. And again, I appreciate you having me on. And, it's important to me to allow people to have a different view of the city. So I decided that I would been interested in building. Have done this for 30 years and wanted to also put a little bit of a stamp for me. There are people in the industry that know who I am. Most people don't.
Sure.
You said you saw an article, and I'm sure that I have friends that said, I can't believe you're in the paper.
Yeah.
and other people that just say, read the story and say, well, what's the big deal? I can do that.
Right.
And as we were talking briefly before this started, you need people that are going to act upon ideas, not just have ideas.
100%.
You live by that.
100%.
You live by that.
I really do. It's the most simple concept, and yet is typically the biggest barrier. You have brilliant people, great ideas, great plans that never make it out of the little notebook.
And you always speak of that from like an entrepreneurial standpoint,
Sure.
but it's across the board.
It really is.
In every industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are entrepreneurs in every industry, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And we people have an understanding of that. So this all kind of started with an idea over a year ago. I wanted to do some infill housing. I went down to New York City. I played trumpet. I was just I had some guys that I know, some dudes down in the city working on some horns.
Nice.
Was sitting around waiting for them. And just sketched up an idea that I had for a house.
Wow.
So the lots in the city are very small.
Sure.
And one of the problems is access to the lots, being able to build on them. You have setbacks. There's a lot of intricacies that people don't really think about.
Yeah.
But I had an idea to just design something, so threw it on paper, and literally it was a cocktail napkin sketch.
That's awesome.
So then on the flight home, I ended up cleaning it up a little. Then over the course of a month or two, ended up talking to some friends of mine who are architects and sent them drawings, and they did an initial sketch for me.
Wow.
And just kind of morphed into the idea that it is now. I met with Caitlin Wright at the land bank to see if they had any property. I had dealt with them when I was working at Home Headquarters, running the construction department there. And she had some property available. I looked at it and I said, I think this is a good transitional area.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of morphed into the idea that it is right now.
That's incredible. It seems like you're tapping into something that folks haven't yet in many places, where you're talking about these lots, right? It seems like, the land bank's around and here's a building that's there and that you can rehab, but you're sort of really making use of the property more than a lot of other folks are. Is that accurate?
Well, it's not more than a lot of other people are. It's a need to. There are lots that you can't expand.
Gotcha.
So a lot of what's happening is on multiple lots, and they're dividing 3 lots into resubbing them into 2.
I see.
To make them to allow for setbacks and necessities of kind of modern living.
Yeah.
I had done a project 12 or 14 years ago on Park Ave, I was involved with, it was called the Five Sisters. So we took 5 Victorian houses, gut renoed them. And
Wow.
that was something that people said we'd never be able to sell them. And there were no comps in the area when the organization that I worked for at the time, went to sell them. So we had some difficulty with banks. But ultimately they all sold and everybody was happy. And that whole area within the city on Park Ave is beautiful now.
Yeah.
And that's over just a little over a decade.
Wow.
One thing that I'm running into a little bit of a problem is that, financing, I'll just have to do this kind of on my own.
Sure.
There are a lot of banks that say, well, it's a great idea. Well, if you're buying this for yourself, we could give you a construction loan, but you're a business, you haven't been in business long enough, and just kind of what people run into.
Yeah.
Problems they run into. And my response is always, you're right. I'm a new business. I've just been doing this for 30,
Sure.
35 years. So, and done some pretty large scale.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I'll sort
Brand new.
through that. And again, it's working with the land bank was great. And they're providing a bit of a backstop. And we'll call it backstop.
That's great.
Where if I gave them a budget, that was overarching from, kind of soup to nuts. And if I fall short of a sales price with a fixed fee for me, open book, they'll cover some of those costs. Now, if I hit my budget and don't need any money to meet that budget, they don't do anything
That's great.
other than sell me the property.
That's great.
It's an idea that I'm sure a lot of people have had, but again,
Sure.
you need to act on it. And I know within the industry, everybody wants to do a bit of smoke and mirrors over the cost of things and want to make as much as you can.
Sure.
Another idea that I had with this is I'm not looking for bottom dollar contractors.
Yeah.
I want to work with dudes that I've known in the industry for decades,
Right.
or even some new contractors that I think are fantastic.
Sure.
I've helped a lot of local MWBEs become established. There's some guys that I've worked with that used to just do, staircases and porches and decks, and now they're building homes. And people have gone from $150,000 in revenue a year to $4.5 million.
Wow.
So, and that's something I've always been interested as well.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a Pied Piper on occasion. I know my wife would say I'm aggravating as hell,
Mine too.
but it's something I feel I can motivate people and kind of bring them along.
Yeah.
And if this is, and the great thing about this, above and beyond everything, is it's just kind of been the impetus to begin discussion about it again.
Yeah.
I love that about you. You're a loyal guy. You're kind of like the Adam Sandler of commercial real estate. You just keep employing all your friends and
You got your core team.
you got your
bring
core
to the
team, man.
projects.
No, but that's important. I always said no matter what it is that if I succeed in an area, I want to not MC Hammer style where I'm just going to employ my friends for the fun of it. Plug my friends in who have these talents and skills so that, we all do this together and we all succeed.
That's what a community is, right?
That's right.
Society is kind of a collection of people with diverse ideas and thoughts and interests, and you have a commonality at some point. So why not grab those people and take them along?
I love that, man.
And I always say this too: if somebody can do something better than me, please do it.
Yes.
I am all about motivating people to be way better than me.
I agree.
I love that.
In this industry, especially, you find there's a lot of jealousy, and you're in music and in entertainment in general. I heard the most simple statement a couple of years back that was like, just because someone is as talented or more talented than you does not take away from your abilities and talent.
Sure.
There's enough to go around, and so I think it's a really healthy attitude. Do it better than me.
Yeah, and kind of to jump off that idea, there's funding available out there to help people. People are afraid to build in the city.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been any mid-level scale of building or somebody that really reached the middle point of the market in 50 or 60 years. You have high-end stuff, you have grant-based building, but nobody is building for just kind of the common man.
Right.
When you say they're afraid, what do you mean?
People are afraid that they're going to have material stolen. People are. It's just like it's
Gotcha.
as if
Just the
anybody
negativity
that
of the area.
So they're just
Yeah.
like intimidated by the idea.
a sense of discomfort in being in the city.
Sure.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
You know, there are people that say I wouldn't walk down streets in the city. Well, I'll walk down just about every street in
Right.
the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunately there's that misconception, and I think a lot of that comes from we are really a rural area in general.
Sure.
Where we've got a couple of pockets of these cities, but there's a lot of folks from outside, and they still
Yeah.
have that, which is as silly as it is. That
I know.
the big city mentality, and the big scary place.
Well, to circle back, it's also the 24-hour news cycle we were just talking at the top
Right.
of the show,
Where
which
that's-
is all they're
they'll
seeing.
tell you that's all there is.
the negativity going on in these metropolitan areas, and that's not really what's going on. I mean,
Jim, something I really appreciate is, we're hearing all kinds of things about the real estate market. It's so tough, but also, as things are booming here locally, we're getting all these investors and all these, whether that's, local investors, whether it's these horrible big, venture capitalists that are coming in and buying up houses. They're all in it because of this massive profit. Which, listen, I'm a businessman. I get it. That's cool. But I think what you're addressing is the fact that we're leaving behind everyday families.
Yeah.
How are folks, who, like you said, they're not super rich and they're not so poor that they can get some of those other programs. They're right in the middle, and
Middle class.
they're getting priced out of the market.
Right, and one of my ideas to address that the income for not only somebody buying the house but developer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I look at churn. So if you do multiples of anything, you're going to make more money. So
Yeah.
why not cut your profit a little, make it palatable for everybody? And I have no problem or no qualms with opening my books to the land bank. And that was, there was a program that was available in the
Right.
county there was a few bucks that were available for houses if you made them accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's for 5 units or more. I tried to get some of that, and they said, you're only doing 2 units. And I said, okay. So I was actually talking to Caitlin at the land bank after that, and was a teeny bit, torqued about that. But
Sure.
I just mentioned that, and she said, well, let me see, maybe we can do something internally. And that's turned into what was in the paper and what's just common knowledge and public knowledge and available publicly. So if people are interested, they can go on the Land Bank's website. They can see the board meetings that I had to speak at.
Sure.
And again, it's not, I'm not in this to denigrate anybody. I just have an idea. I'm going to build
No, you're helping.
houses.
That's great.
And there's pushback on a couple different ends on occasion, but I think it's important,
okay.
100%.
and it's a good idea, and I hope more people do it.
So, Jim, tell me just a little bit about kind of the process. Is this the sort of thing where you have your buyer sort of lined up even beforehand, or is it more like a spec house?
No, these are completely on spec.
Okay.
So it's completely on spec. It's a spec house.
What is Spec House? Sorry, I'm going to play the role of the everyday guy that doesn't know what's going on. 'Cause that's
Demonstrate
me.
you build the model without a person picked out for it.
Got it. Sorry.
If that's
No,
is
that's
that a fair
okay.
description?
Yeah. You're just building something with the anticipation that somebody's going to buy.
Sure.
Got it.
So speculation, right?
Yeah.
There's this, you're speculating on the market, and it's no different than what an entrepreneur does.
Sure.
Right? So it's somebody has an idea. You think that your idea is worth a certain value, has a certain value, and you move on.
Yep.
So, just design is the first part, finding the property, going through municipal approvals. It took several months because the lot that I bought, I re-subdivided into 2 lots.
I see.
So there was a problem with the width on both lots. They're actually 3 inches short of what the minimum city standard was. So that held things up for about 3.5 months, just getting approvals, going through the process. Now, I don't fault the city and
Sure.
zoning and
Yeah,
planning
part of it.
regulation, but there also needs to be maybe some administrative approval for something that's so minor.
Right.
And the irony is that if the lot was a little short depth-wise, that there's administrative approval, but nobody had thought that, hey, if this is a couple inches narrower than what we meet, it's 40, the minimum lot width is 40 feet.
Yeah.
These are 39 feet, 9 inches.
Wow.
instead of somebody just looking at it and signing off, it's 3.5 months of waiting and meetings and drawings. So,
Wow.
so you do that, and then just put together material lists and contractors and get the stuff up and get done.
That's awesome.
Sell it. So,
When you mentioned originally, your original drawing, and then you went to the architects and stuff. I'm just curious if, when you're designing these things, do you design it sort of independent of the neighborhood, or do you kind of factor it in to match other houses, things of that nature? How's that?
So scale wise, I took a look at scale.
Yeah.
I wanted something that would scale for the neighborhood and the location.
Gotcha.
The width was really the width of the house. It's a 20-foot wide house.
Gotcha.
So everybody does things that are kind of center loaded and it makes the bedrooms really small. So I side loaded the house, and again, it's nothing that other people haven't thought of.
Sure.
But just put that on paper so the bedrooms and living spaces are good size. The houses, I'm building one that's about 1,900 square feet.
Oh, wow.
The other one's just a single story, 1,300 square foot home, but layout really well. And, I'll modify the exteriors. One will be a little more modern, kind of straighter lines, streamlined a bit more, and then do something, essentially they're shotgun style house.
Gotcha.
Do something that's craftsman style. So I want something that's going to be indicative of the character of the neighborhood, but also be on occasion a little different.
That's awesome.
So just and even going to the architect, it was really more to put it on paper.
Yeah.
Just have somebody throw the design in pad and put it on paper. Talk about some modeling of things, and I've already met with truss manufacturers to help with the truss.
Wow.
Truss design, and I'm going to do a bit of panelization of the houses, so they'll show up so I can just put panels up, not modular, but just so the structure can get up quick.
Yeah.
That's great. So you're a creative because you're a musician, and obviously you're in the field that you're in. Do you find that like in music or entertainment, you wake up sometimes and you're like, I have this amazing idea for a house, and you sketch it out? Do you just get random like design ideas?
Yeah, I think it's just like keeping a diary, right? A journal.
Exactly.
I never did that when I was a kid. So
Sure.
when I was younger too, I played music. I went to school for music because I had a full ride. They gave me everything, for room and board and tuition. Yeah. But I did a ton of drawing and painting when I was younger too.
Yeah.
Used to do one-man shows, I grew up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And had one-man shows at the high school, some stuff locally in a small town. Used to do designs for the newspaper that for front pages of the paper they would pay me for.
That's awesome.
Which is better than working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But really kind of did a lot of stuff. Drawing, art, design, structure, building.
That's great.
Music. And I think society limits people too much now.
I agree.
Sure.
You can be completely multifaceted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love a lot of things: art, music, literature, academics.
I love that, man.
So and you have to be willing and wanting to incorporate that into your personality and what you do.
People look at, your line of work as blue collar and, trucks and getting our hands calloused. But people don't realize that there's also a very huge, there's a creative side to this.
It's an art.
It's
really.
an art.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad we can talk about that on here to showcase it.
And I like telling people that, I run a general contracting business. So, I run everything. But if I'm walking around with a client and some dude's in a hole, mud hole, struggling, let's hand somebody my coat, jump in the hole, help the dude out, and then get out. I am as comfortable with people in a hole, in a mud hole, or, at the top of a mountain smoking the world's, best cigar and drinking the best whiskey or bourbon.
All right, we got to hang out. I like this guy's great. You're great.
Guys are.
I love this.
Jim, a couple quick questions, and we'll let you get out of here. You mentioned this project here that we're talking about. You got 2 parcels, couple of homes. What's next? You got another one picked out after this, or where do we go from here?
I am looking at some other property. The land bank floats lots by me. I just looked at one in Eastwood the other day. I'm looking at. I've had some people contact me directly to build some homes. So I'm talking to some people down Long Island right now about building some homes up here. It might be something where I only do 2. I might do 2 a year. I might do, I don't know, 2,000, and I want to incorporate it into everything that I do.
Yeah.
It doesn't, just because I run a business and am fully invested in that doesn't mean I can't do other things.
Absolutely.
Again, my wife thinks I'm crazy. I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm almost 60. I work out for an hour and a half and then go to work and come home and do things, practice my trumpet, and go to bed at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and do it all over again.
That's incredible.
You're amazing, man.
Incredible.
Go ahead. Go.
Yeah, no, I just want to the last thing I had for you is, you're definitely inspiring a lot of people to look at this. So can you just talk a little bit about the opportunity for them? How would they go about reaching out to the land bank, looking for these sorts of things?
Yeah.
If they want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can look online at Syracuse Land Bank, Greater Syracuse Land Bank, find out information about them, find out information about building in the city. You can talk to zoning, planning, the building department. There's a lot of stuff available now that wasn't available decades ago when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I never thought that I would start a business and do everything at the age I am. There are times where I used to just say, I'll just kind of check in and check out. And that lasts for a day or two, maybe 2 weeks. And I just want to be somebody that motivates other people. We kind of jump to music. I love teaching. I figure I'm better than 98% of the trumpet players in the world. I've got a brother who's world-class trumpet player. So I know what the best of the best is. And just really want to push people to do whatever they want to do. And it doesn't just have to be in building.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's great, Jim.
I'm trying to let the adults talk here, but I do have a couple quick questions.
Yeah, go for it.
And this is just going to be me dumbing it down for the everyday person. We were talking earlier about affordable housing, and in Ithaca, that's a very big hot button issue. I mean, it is everywhere. I guess, and it's a broad question, but what are some of the answers to getting affordable housing? Like, where does it start? Where does it begin? Is there anything we can do as citizens to push this process?
Well, this isn't affordable housing. So the typical affordable housing would be 80% of area median income or less. Okay. This is really just market rate housing, kind of for the person that's got a family, is caught in the middle. I mean, when I went to college, again, long time ago, we couldn't get my parents had no money to give me when they went to college because they made too much money.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep the cost down to a reasonable cost, market rate, what the market can bear, and make that available to everybody. Anybody can buy the properties. That it's not going to be dictated by either your wallet because you make a ton of money and you're going to spend $500, $600, $800 million, $2 million on a house, or you're not going to get any grants to be able to assist you. I just want to look at kind of the everyday person that's looking for a home.
Yeah.
That's getting priced out of the market with bidding wars on regular properties.
That's great.
So
stuff that should be market rate that unfortunately has gotten out of control.
Yeah.
And now the most important question: who were your biggest musical influences?
Well, I love Dizzy Gillespie.
I had a feeling.
I love Gillespie. I love all the earlier Clifford Brown, earlier trumpet players, Maynard Ferguson. I love jazz, classical, Maurice Andre. I play the gamut in music. I do classical jazz. I've played with some rock bands. And it's really, there's Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Heck yes.
Fantastic horn section. So it's really, I think there's a huge value to a lot of things in everybody.
I agree.
I love artisanal stuff. The coffee I got it from Recess. I love people that I want to support people in the area.
You're amazing, man.
And you do the best you can.
Oh, you're amazing. You heard Tower of Power?
Yeah.
Love Tower. My dad I grew up listening to Tower of Power.
I had some buddies that played with him.
Really?
Yeah. In the 80s, I had dudes that I was in Chicago, and there were guys that came through that became friends of mine that played with us.
Jesus. Tower of Power is, Chicago gets they're like the face of horn bands, and Tower of Power within the music industry, people know who they are, but I think they're just completely underrated.
Yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely.
underrated.
Tunes like What Is Hip.
What Is Hip?
There's some great Barry sax parts and
Trying to think, digging on James Brown.
yep. Oakland
That's
Stroke.
The Tower of Power live album changed my life. Look it up.
Great. That's good. Gives me a different perspective of you.
Well, there you go. I'm a musician too. I had played in bands in the past, so as soon as you said you played music, I was like, I know I'm gonna like this guy.
Yeah, and I love classical stuff too, but I like big horn classical.
Of course,
stuff,
yeah.
you know?
Good music's good music.
I love where you're sitting in a horn section and the people in front of you have to put a music stand that's plexiglass in front of them because you're playing too loud.
Yes.
Or behind them.
Yes.
So, but no, I appreciate you guys having me.
Well, we love
Absolutely. Anytime, Jim. Anytime you want to come back and chat it up, like I said, we're here to on a very similar mission. It seems like the more we talk, and I love that. I love your values, especially for this area. Jim, what
Plugs?
We got some plugs. You got a website, anything like that, where folks might look at these things?
No, I no website. I'm going to put something up. So the
Gotcha.
business is Apogee Design Build Services. I have a consulting business too, Apogee Consulting Services. I consult with the land bank. I'm working with the regional market, other people in the area.
That's awesome.
But I'll put something up and make sure that it gets out there.
Great. That's great, Jim. And then, we're talking about the Syracuse Land Bank, but a good little tip for other folks that might be paying attention is they have these sorts of land banks. Sometimes they're city, sometimes it's a county thing, but all over New York and I'm assuming in other parts of the country. If you don't live in Syracuse and you want to explore this opportunity, look for your local land bank because it's a hell of a resource.
Yeah, absolutely. And my sense is that if this works locally, I think the funds that the land bank here, and this is my understanding, it could be a bit off, but the funds they're using are land bank initiative funds that haven't been used by other land banks. So if this works, it's a small, kind of getting back to the large piece of pie. This is a small piece of the pie that other land banks can and potentially will use in New York. So I don't know. I like thinking that this is kind of a pilot program for the state.
You're helping improve the model, that's for sure.
So,
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
but
Jim Williams, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
man.
joining Good News York. I think that's it for
Yeah.
the week, right?
Yeah,
Is it? I don't generally. Yesterday, I thought it was Thursday.
Yeah, I know.
Today it's actually
Just ask
Thursday.
me what day it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're have a happy Memorial Day weekend. Be safe out there. We'll be back Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be off on Monday.
And our episodes always air at goodnewsyork.com, 5 p.m., Monday through Thursday. And you can subscribe to our podcast anywhere podcasts
In every
exist.
podcast app there is.
Yeah.
Just look for Good News York.
Awesome.
All right. Peace out.